This is one of our breeding pairs of Moluccan cockatoos. We had 2 or 3 breeding pairs at that time, and they were very strange in that when I put them in a group in the winter, they did not stick in their breeding pairs as did all the macaws. The macaws, you could look in the aviary in the winter and there'd be 2 red fronts, 2 hyacinths, 2 buffons, 2 militaries, etc. But the Moluccans would just sit and roost next to anybody. And I had to remember which ones were mated the year before and put them back in the breeding flight, and they immediately settled down and started to breed. The way I kept my cockatoos, and my macaws I suppose, I would never advise anybody to build their aviaries like that with single netting. All my cockatoos were all side by side, single 2-inch mesh. Never once did I have any aggression between pairs, and never once did I have any aggression between male and female. Whether it was because I flew them in the winter in flocks, which was natural. I've noticed in recent times when we've bought in macaws, some pairs of macaws, that they were willing to fight at first and wouldn't go anywhere near each other. But after a winter in my aviaries, they'd all sit around with each other with no problems whatsoever. Obviously, mentally, in a much better state of mind. Whether that was anything to do with my success at breeding all these species, I would think is a strong possibility. This is one of the baby Moluccans that we reared. I also kept a couple of pairs of very yellow blue-fronted Amazons. Quite a lot of people thought when they saw this nearest male here that he was crossed with a double yellowhead, but he wasn't. He was a pure Bolivian blue front. This pair of scarlets was my original pair. The male at the rear came from Peter Tabernett at Bleanbird Gardens, and the female came from John Strutt, the gentleman in Cumbria who used to have all his macaws flying at liberty. This is the first 2 chicks we bred from that pair. They weren't a prolific pair, but they produced 1 or 2 youngsters probably every other year. The same 2 chicks a little while later, and this one is one of my favourite photographs really. It shows a buffon in the centre there, and the young buffons, especially on the diet that I feed them, which is my own concoction, they come up with a bloom, a shininess about the feathers and their beak and everything. A beautiful little macaw to hand rear, and there's also scarlets in that bucket of youngsters. These are 2 young scarlets. The female I got from the World Parrot Trust as a part exchange for a female Kia that they'd bred, and the male was bred from my pair that we've just depicted, one of those 2 chicks. Beautiful pair of scarlets. This is during one of my breeding seasons. In sight in there, a little hard to tell on this picture. There are cockatoos, there are red-fronted macaws, there's a couple of hyacinths, there's a bronzewing sitting on the edge of the bucket there, various cockatoos and various macaws. It shows the extent of some of my large aviaries. They're about 90 feet long, and each one of those 2 aviaries there is about 40 feet wide, and it gives the birds ample room to fly around. It strengthens their wings and brings them into much better physical condition. Especially when I put young birds in there, they end up extremely strong birds. This is a a shot sitting from on the chimney of the old farmhouse, looking down on the top of some of my aviaries, and you can see the asbestos roof where the passage and the undercover section is, and then the breeding flights. There's 20 on that side and there's 20 on the other side of the breeding passage. That's looking from the same place, rather further down, and in the distance is where I built my soft bill aviaries, where I had the turacos, fruit pigeons, foreign thrushes, glossy starlings, etc. This view looks down the passage of the macaws, and as I say, there's 20 flights on the left, 20 on the right. You can see the inspection box, inspection door to the nest boxes on the left hand side, and on the right hand side they're much higher, right up at the top. This is the Goliath palm cockatoo with some hawk heads in the background. This was the male the male of my breeding pair. Absolutely magnificent. And here he is displaying to his female, and they actually reared a chick in that nest log. I then moved them from where that one was into a separate flight, and it's the same nest box, and that's the male again. This is one of the first chicks, palm cockatoo chicks that we reared. We reared several at that time, and they're very difficult. I found them very difficult. If they'd been as easy to hand rear as macaws, then I would have bred a very large number of palms. It's one of what I consider one of my failures in not being able to rear the palm cockatoos from the egg. This is one of our Goliath palm chicks that we successfully hand reared, and this bird was one that customs took away, and for some godforsaken reason they decided to send him by himself to Belfast Zoo in Northern Ireland, where he pretty well faded away and died after a year or so. Absolutely tragic. That bird was only 7 years old when he was taken and died before he was 9. He should have lived to be 100. This is upstairs in one of the bedroom windows, the old farmhouse, and there are 2 palm cockatoos that we hand reared, and on the perch in the background is, on the left, a male Aterimus with 2 Goliaths on the right.